Is Index Insight right for your website? It's a question I get asked a lot as the co-founder of Index Insight, talking to businesses trying to use the tool. And in this video, that's exactly what I want to answer. Before we start, what is Index Insight? Well, it's a B2B platform that allows companies with large websites to monitor up to 1 million pages using Google's official URL inspection API. In a nutshell, if you were to say which websites were best fit for the Indexing Insight, it would be the ones that group pages into a logical directory structure. Now we can see an example here on rvshare.com, a website with multiple different site sections that we can break down into these different web properties. Now this is the key to websites that are a good fit. You can see here different site sections have different numbers of URLs, but that allows us to break the website down into these larger site sections. You create a web property, and each web property has 2,000 URLs per 24 hours. And that can give us the number of days it takes us to monitor. Now, bear in mind, our tool maximizes the API limits, making it 2 to 3 times faster than any other tool on the market. So when you're looking at these numbers, just bear that in mind. But it means that we can monitor this entire website within 9 days. So every 9 days, we are monitoring all the pages on the site that are given to us. Some site sections take a lot less time, a day, 3 days, 5 days, but no more than 9 days to monitor the whole thing. On the opposite side of this, there are websites like Zapier.com, who have an apps directory with 7 million pages. Now, unfortunately, you can't break this apps directory down into any more site sections, so you are left with one big directory structure that just means that it's going to take us about 1,100 days to monitor the pages, all the pages in this site section, if we were to give it to the whole tool. Now, that's too long, and so this is not a good example of a website that, won't really fit in with our tool, and that's basically it. If you're not wanting to watch any more of the video and you just want to know quickly what a good website is or a bad website is for the tool, that's it in a nutshell. The rest of the video, I'm just going to go into detail as to what are good characteristics for websites, bad characteristics for websites. But just bear in mind that I will talk about another option for large websites like Zapier and the apps directory, a method that you can use within the tool to help you monitor important pages on large sites. But it won't necessarily mean that you can monitor all pages, but you can definitely monitor key site sections within large websites. So stick around if you're interested in that. Okay, let's jump into the 3 characteristics of sites which are a good fit. Now, I already talked about the first one, but basically, as I said, pages grouped into a directory structure are going to be a good fit for Indexing Insight. Decathlon are another example where you can break down a lot of their site into these different categories and product folders, brand folders, deal folders, with different pages being grouped into those areas. Makes it perfect for Indexing Insight to monitor at scale with these pages. Because you're able to break down sites into these logical directories and pages are grouped within them, we can help you monitor up to 1 million pages. We have a customer who is able to monitor 1 million pages in 14 days by using this logical directory structure kind of format. Hundreds of web properties created at scale through the tool. They were able to monitor basically their entire important site sections every couple of weeks and making sure the index health was up to date, basically. The second characteristic of a good fit website is making sure that those days it takes us to monitor different site sections or the entire website is under 30 days. You see, In the tool, there is a metric called the inspection cycle. The inspection cycle is simply the number of days it takes us to monitor all the pages that you have given us. There are two key things about inspection cycle. First, we give you a maximum inspection cycle time. You can see in this screenshot. That is really taken from the largest web property that we have with the largest number of URLs, giving you basically that's the maximum it's going to take us to monitor the largest area of your site. But you can also see that there are other web properties that have less inspection cycle time, so less days to monitor. So your city's property there, your city's Birmingham web property, they're only going to take a day. And so this is key to understand about our tool, is the way that we've built it. The inspection cycle is looking at web properties and then breaking them out independently so as to not impact on kind of other web properties. So basically we can monitor certain areas of your site within a day or two, but for other larger areas, it's going to take us a bit longer. Again, we maximize the API limits, so we're 2 or 3 times faster than anybody else. But that's just key to understand with the inspection cycle. So, for example, those websites or site sections that are over 30 days, Zapier, DIY.com, on the departments site section, you can see here these are clearly well over 30 days, and so probably not a good fit for our tool. And again, we're maximizing the API limits. It's 2 or 3 times faster than it would be with anyone else. Even so, 1100 days is not it isn't a good idea to monitor with the tool, because it's literally years of monitoring just to get all the pages. But there are site sections within Zapier, within DIY.com, where we could monitor under a 30-day period. Zapier's blog has 8,000 URLs. It only takes us 4 days to monitor all the pages in one cycle. And the interfaces within the apps section, there's 1,150 pages. That'll only take us a day. DIY.com in the department section, the outdoor garden web property, that's going to take us 13 days. Again, with our ability to maximize API limits. It would normally take anybody else 39 days to monitor, but with our tool, it's taking us 13 days. So suddenly within 2 weeks, you can get all of the pages index states within that site section and look at the reasons why certain pages are being not indexed, check index fluctuations, check which pages are being actively de-indexed using our tool within 13 days. So this is an example where both B&Q and Zapier could use our tool to monitor key areas of their site, not the whole site, but definitely key and important site sections within their websites. This is what we call the narrow method. Okay, so when you're monitoring certain site sections or specific areas of the site, it's called the narrow method. Basically, you are monitoring specific important pages, important site sections that you can monitor under a 30-day inspection cycle period. Most websites that use our tool use the wide method, basically the ability to monitor all pages on a website, and just breaking that website down into different categories, different site sections, and allowing us to maximize the API limits through the web properties and then maximize them again, making them 2 or 3 times faster. But the narrow method, if you are a large website, is a useful way that some customers have found to actually monitor and identify problems on their website. Let me give you an example. T-Mobile. They use the narrow method. So basically, when they came to us, they had a specific site section that they couldn't quite figure out why they were not appearing in search. So they used our tool to monitor hundreds of thousands of pages within the Spanish store areas of their site. And what they found was that there was a key problem within that area, a 403 error blocking Googlebot from accessing the pages. And they used our tool to basically put together a business case, identify the problem, and work with their team to fix it. And that's what helped them grow by over 1,000% in SEO traffic and impressions, because they fixed a really important site section to their business, the Spanish section on their US website, and that helped them drive more visibility within search, because they were more focused on a particular important area using the narrow method. So it does work. It is helpful to businesses to use. So just bear that in mind when we're talking about wide versus narrow. They're both useful in their own way, but the narrow method can definitely be helpful to you. Okay, the third characteristic, the balanced URL distribution. Basically, 2 clear rules around how many URLs within each directory you should ideally have. So no more than 60,000 URLs per directory. So for every directory you have no more than 60,000 URLs within each in multiple web directories. In multiple web properties. And that's simply because if you had more than 60,000, it would take more than 30 days to inspect it with 2,000 daily limit. Most websites that I've seen will never ever reach this limit, but just bear in mind, because sometimes, every so often there are some websites with it. And kind of more common is try not to have one big directory with no more than 180,000 URLs. Again, Decathlon is an example of this. They do have 157,000 URLs, but they have less than 160,000, but they don't meet the 180,000 limit, so that they can get that inspection cycle below 30 days. And they have multiple categories that don't even touch the 60,000 limit, but that allows them to use the tool, or would allow them to use the tool as well as they could, to maximize the API limits as we do. Next, just 3 patterns of sites that mean it won't work. So limited directories. So every so often this happens where customers come to us. They basically have 1 to 3 kind of directories, and that means that, but they have like 1 million or 500,000 pages, and it's just not going to be possible for us to monitor within those 30 days. So it's not really ideal for them to use the tool, because it just takes too long to get the data. Next characteristic is a flat architecture. This basically just means that we can't break your website down into directories or web properties simply because your pages are grouped onto the root of the website. I've seen this every so often as well, where a company will come to us where they have basically product or listing pages hanging off the root. Again, it just means it takes us a very, very long time to get all your data, and it's just not really ideal to use the tool. Again, you can use the narrow method to upload pages via using like a CSV file, but you're not going to be able to kind of monitor the whole website using the wide method, unfortunately. And finally, there is kind of more commonly the one extremely large directory where a website is able to break down the website into these little kind of folder structures, but they have one massive web property, one massive directory that basically means it's very difficult for us to monitor at scale. Again, Zapier is another example of this. You can break their site down into smaller site sections, but their app section is so big that it would just take forever to monitor it. So if you're wanting to monitor, over 180,000 pages in one large subdirectory, and you're unable to break that subdirectory down, it's going to be very difficult for us to monitor it under the 30 days inspection cycle. So we don't recommend it, basically. Okay, so here is a very quick checklist that you can run through right now with your website. Pause the video, go back through it. There is a link to a inspection calculator in the description below if you are interested in calculating your inspection cycle to see if it will be under 30 days. But basically, here's the questions you need to ask if you want to use the tool. Do you group pages into logical directories? Again, I've shown you examples of this, but that's a key part of using the tool. Can you get your inspection cycle under 30 days? Again, like I've just said, there's an inspection calculator that I'll link to in the description below. Feel free to use it and see if you can get your inspection cycle below 30 days. And is your URL distribution balanced? So can you get less than, multiple categories, can you get it below 60,000 in that one big large directory? Your product, your listing pages, are they below 180,000 pages? Again, that's going to impact on your inspection cycle. So again, I'd recommend using the calculator to really understand if that's possible. And if you got a result of 3 out of 3, and if you checked out the inspection calculator, then I'd highly encourage you to try the free trial. 7 days, no credit card required. I'll leave a link in the description below for you to try out the tool. Basically, you request a free trial. I'll have a look and make sure you're a good fit. I send you a request and you can start using the tool pretty much straight away. If you got a result that's a 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3, and you still want to use the tool, but you're not quite sure if it's a good fit, book a demo call with me and I'm happy to go through and talk to you about exactly what you could do with the tool, what's the best fit, what's the different scenarios you're trying to accomplish, we're trying to monitor. And there we go. Really, that is, is Index Insight a good fit for your business? If you're interested in learning more about how Index Insight works, I'm going to put a video somewhere above me. You'll see a video and check that out. And thank you very much for your time. Bye.